Yeah, so a few days ago was the anniversary of Marvin Minsky's death. Um, and actually, like, just a couple days after it happened in the first place, I posted on social media, um, asking whether, and noted, I knew a lot of Chomskins at the time, asking whether Minsky's death would bring about an abrupt change to linguistics in the same way that people assume Chomsky's death will. Um, I haven't seen any evidence that it did. And that was what I was alluding to at the time. I was like, I'm pretty sure things don't work the way you guys say. So I was reminded of that a day or two ago, and I was like, okay, I'll look up some Minsky talking. This one I found strange because um, his confusion at what John Nash told him, at least his initial confusion over it, confuses me. So here, like,
try to calculate what can be accomplished by loops of neurons that are arranged in circular pathways, so that if you put a certain pattern in, it will sort of echo around. And I showed that mathematically that under some conditions, the information that you originally put into such a loop will be gradually destroyed and the pulses will become equally spaced. And that's sort of interesting because I had trouble proving this, and one day I ran into another graduate student named John Nash, and I said, how would you deal with this problem? And he looked at my description of it and he said, well, why don't you expand that into a Fourier series? And I said, oh, well, let me think about that. And I couldn't figure out what he meant, but after...
yeah, I'm not sure why he couldn't figure out what that meant. Right. So your original signal that you're pushing around this network, it's a signal, so it can be decomposed into um, superimposed trig functions, superimposed sinusoids, right? So what a Fourier series does is it describes that composition, but what's going to happen when you just keep running those, you're going to get the distribution that he's suggesting. Not necessarily always, but under certain conditions, which is exactly what his what he's talking about. So, I wouldn't necessarily see it myself instantly, but as soon as somebody points it out, oh, obviously that makes sense. But watch.
a couple of hours I figured out what that would mean, and then I did it and I proved this theorem. And
Yeah, so he had to think about it for a little while. Initially, he didn't understand why you would use a Fourier series for this, you know. And I think this does speak to the intelligence of both of these men, because he didn't see what Nash was saying at first, but he did pursue it, and it did ultimately resolve his problem. And John Nash instantly saw this. I'm like, okay, both of these men, definitely intelligent men. But I'm confused as to why he didn't instantly understand the relevance of the Fourier series. So, anyway, I'm not bagging on the man. I'm just saying I found that odd. But everyone has blind spots, so whatever.